to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975. This is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of the regular meetings on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and by providing a copy of the annual notice of the regular meetings for the year 2016 to the Glen paper, the Glen Voice, the Montclair Times, and to the Star Ledger on Tuesday, January 5th, 2016, and by filing said notice in the office of the municipal clerk. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hughes.
Here.
Vasovich.
Here.
Lefkowitz.
Here.
Dawson.
Here.
Murphy.
Here.
Morrow.
Here.
Mayor Patrick present. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Michael. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting on May 5th, May 9th?
Also move.
Second that.
Any discussion? Michael, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Vasovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. The motion is carried.
Are there any written communications?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The first is the information package that Surrogate Stephen gave to us at the last council meeting about the satellite office and frequently asked questions about the Surrogate's office. Then we have a draft of the interlocal agreement between the Borough of Glen Ridge and the Township of Montclair. What this contract says is really there's no change in the contract, but rather the provider is different. The Board of Health used to run animal control in Bloomfield. Now the township does. So basically all it does is it switches from the Board of Health to the township of Bloomfield, but the services will be the same, and the price will be the same. And then we have various notices from public service, electric and gas, regarding various tariffs, and that includes correspondence.
Thank you. We file the correspondence. This is the time for comments from the public. Is there anybody that wishes to be heard? What's your name and address, please?
I'm Christy Karchevsky. I live at 16 Laurel Place. As many of you know, there's a lot of redevelopment talk in my area. My concern about that, and also directly links to the development that is behind me. It was done before I bought the property. As most of you know, there's a buffering that's supposed to be in between most residents and these developments. There's a lot of buffer talk between the development that's going up with the hospital and what kind of buffering there's going to be between the residents. My issue that I'm bringing up is it's great to have that buffering, but no one seems to be forced to maintain it. This is my home. This was done, I've only owned this residence for a year and a half, so this is fairly new. This is my property. This is the back. This is the buffering that's between.
So you back up into Mountainside Hospital.
I'm behind 123 Highland, one of the medical buildings
Got
that
it.
the hospital
Okay.
must use because
Got
the
it.
workers go between the two.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So on the other side of your backyard is 120.
I actually have taken pictures. Most of the trees have died between me and them. And you can see in the pictures, I have a transformer in my backyard. So this is one of the dead woods that fell off that almost hit me. I was in the backyard working when it happened. This is where one of them came from, and that's the transformer next to it. So you can see where the tree is actually dying off and one of the dead pieces has fallen from it. That's the transformer that's right next
So,
to that dead tree.
did it fall into your yard or it fell into the dead space?
Off that piece, it fell into the dead space. The one before that was one that had actually fallen into my yard. I have two that have fallen into my yard, and I have pictures of them as well. They're so heavy, we can't even move them.
So the folks over at 123 aren't maintaining that buffer zone.
Not at all.
And you want us to notify them that this is an area that needs to be maintained?
I've notified them, and I'm getting the runaround. He keeps telling me it's going to be taken care of, and then nothing ever happens. He's very slow to return phone calls. In fact, he doesn't. I have to keep calling him to even get him to pick up. I've talked to the people on Hathaway. This is also the problem with them and their buffer space at their dead end between them and the hospital. The trees are dying off. No one's taking care of them. They've been actually required to take care of them. I got quotes to take care of all of this would be up to $6,000. That's money I don't have.
Excuse me, so who is it, who's the landlord that you're speaking to about 123 High?
His name's Benson. He's the property manager.
Right.
But
And
it's,
who's the owner of 123?
I don't
it's not the
know.
hospital.
I know it's not the
It's under
hospital.
private ownership. What we
Right.
could do is have our property maintenance officer, go out there and have a site visit, and then generally what we do is we give them 10 days to clean up everything, and if
Okay.
not, then they just cite the property owner.
That would be great. I called the city and they told me that it wasn't their business, that it was something I had
You
to
called
do.
us?
Yeah, who did you
Yeah.
speak to?
Who's it talking?
I talked to somebody, a main person who picked up, and I said, this is what's going on, who would I talk to? And they're like, oh, we don't get in between residential disputes, you need to take care of
This
this.
isn't a residential, this is the commercial
Yeah,
property
so maybe
involved.
she misunderstood
She
me.
misunderstood, yes.
Yeah, I think you should consider it done. We'll,
Okay, thank
if
you
you
so
have a
much.
problem, come back in
Yes,
a couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
thank you. I have a 2, 4, and 6-year-old, so that's like my major thing,
okay.
is that they're safe when they're in the backyard.
Now,
I
what's-
all.
suggest, Mayor, that you...
You wanna give,
Mike
Yeah,
Wall.
if you could speak, let's speak directly. If you're 15-year-old, then I'll give you a call.
Yeah,
give Michael those,
I can write down my cell phone
Yeah,
number.
Sure, if you could do that, I appreciate that. But we'll also have the arborist, take a look at the tree.
Okay.
You can put it up there, it's fine.
Michael,
I actually had an arborist come out and he said they're not savable, because I thought about trying to save them.
Really?
Yeah, because it'd be nice to have the shade, but he said they're not savable.
Okay, we'll do a site visit.
we'll make a copy of that, give it back.
Oh, it's that.
Thanks, Len. But it probably, she's not the only one, you know, Michael?
No,
It's everybody that backs into 123.
that's it, I have
Yeah,
like 23
actually,
properties. Pretty good, okay, I have
This
one.
is my neighbor's. I took it from my fence down, and the fence is actually collapsing into her yard.
So
And she's
123
elderly, she's next to me. She
Yeah.
can't take care of it
It's not
herself.
appropriate at all.
We'll send those pictures to Michael.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that.
Okay, I'll get your email off
It's Michael Wilmot, administrator, it's right on the website.
Okay, and I'll send you the pictures.
Okay,
And then
great.
I'll let her son know too.
Okay, good.
He tries to take care of things for her.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to be heard? Seeing nobody, we will close the comments from the public. This evening, we're very pleased to have with us 2 scouts from Troop, somebody tell me whether it's 2600 or 20600, what is it?
2600.
Okay, from Troop 2600 and a scout from Troop 55. We're here to acknowledge the fact that the scouts have shown the dedication and the commitment to sticking with a program and earning the highest honor that scouting can give. So we're very pleased that you'd be with us tonight, and we'd like to have you come up when we call you, and you can tell us something about the project that you did, and we have a proclamation for each of you. So, Sophie Mitchell, come up, please.
My project was
Well, tell us who you are and where you live and all, too.
Well, I'm Sophie Mitchell, and I live on 100 Forest Avenue. My project was Savvy Substitutions, which was about healthy eating, and instead of going like cold turkey on junk food, you can incorporate like healthy ingredients into recipes to make them a bit healthier to eat.
Good for you.
Very good.
Well done.
Extremely well done. Proclamation. Whereas the Gold Award is the highest honor a Girl Scout can earn, achieved only through dedication, community service, and hard work. And whereas the Gold Award is a lifelong honor and is respected by all persons familiar with Scouting. And whereas Sophie Mitchell of Troop 2600 has stayed the course and earned the Gold Award in support of her Gold Award project, Sophie's Savvy Substitutions. Sophie's project is a shining example of the true spirit of Girl Scouts and their willingness to help others in the community. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Stuart K. Patrick, Mayor of the Borough of Glen Ridge, with the advice and consent of the Borough Council, do proclaim Monday, June 6, 2016, to be Girl Scout Gold Award Day in the Borough of Glen Ridge in honor of the achievement of this young woman. And I call upon all of our citizens to recognize, respect, and congratulate her and her troop leaders for their accomplishments. Congratulations.
Didn't they use, wasn't that the curve bar before? My sister got it. Was curve bar before the gold award? It used to be called curve bar, I think.
You're dating us.
Oh.
Is your leader here? Oh, congratulations.
Megan Agarwal.
Hi, I'm Megan Agarwal. I live at 39 Woodland Avenue. My project was dealing with the people at Tony's Kitchen who come for meals and helping them get exposure with their artwork and helping them feel more confident in their art.
Fantastic.
Good for you.
Proclamation. Whereas the Gold Award is the highest honor a Girl Scout can earn, achieved only through dedication, community service, and hard work. And whereas the Gold Award is a lifelong honor and is respected by all persons familiar with Scouting. And whereas Megan Agarwal of Troop 2600 has stayed the course and earned the Gold Award in support of her Gold Award project, Hungry for Art. Megan's project is a shining example of the true spirit of Girl Scouts and their willingness to help others in the community. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Stuart K. Patrick, Mayor of the Borough of Glen Ridge, with the advice and consent of the Borough Council, do proclaim Monday, June 6, 2016, to be Girl Scout Gold Award Day in the Borough of Glen Ridge in honor of the achievement of this young woman. And I call upon all of our citizens to recognize, respect, and congratulate her and her troop leaders for their accomplishments. And finally, Max Abernathy.
So my name is Max Abernathy, live at 33 Spencer Road, and my Eagle Scout project was to recreate a patio in the Freeman Gardens that had been buried under the soil using the original bricks and laying down new foundations.
How long did that take?
It was a 2-day procedure, first to dig and then the second to lay the bricks.
Nice.
Fantastic.
But check it out.
Small, but
Proclamation.
it's there now.
Yeah, good for you.
Whereas Eagle Scout is the highest honor of scouting and is achieved only through dedication, community service, and hard work. And whereas the rank of Eagle Scout is a lifelong honor and is respected by all persons familiar with scouting. And whereas Max Abernathy of Troop 55 has stayed the course and earned the rank of Eagle Scout, in which he directed the restoration of a brick patio at Freeman Gardens based on historic drawings and photos. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Stuart K. Patrick, Mayor of the Borough of Glen Ridge, with the advice and consent of the Borough Council, do hereby proclaim Monday, June 13, 2016, to be Eagle Scout Day in the Borough of Glen Ridge in honor of the achievement of this young man. And I call upon all of our citizens to recognize, respect, and congratulate him and his troop leaders for their accomplishments. On a personal note, I've been thinking about, ever since I got letters about you young people, that for the last 4 or 5 years, I think that every year we've had anywhere from 2 to 4 scouts come in having achieved the highest honors in scouting, which tells me that we have a tremendously successful program of scouting in this town. Last evening we had a celebration of volunteerism, and part of the theme of volunteerism was that the volunteers do so much for the community. They improve various facets of our lives here in town and the quality of our lives. And certainly, I think that's very, very true of the scouting program, and especially of your scouting leaders, to be able to work with you for all the years they did to help you stay focused and committed and dedicated to earning this tremendously high accomplishment, which will be with you for the rest of your lives. You will always be recognized and go in with the appearance right away of being very hard-working, dedicated people. So I think you all ought to be extremely proud of yourselves and your accomplishments, and certainly of your leaders. Do we have anybody else?
I
Well
would
said.
like to congratulate and also recognize the leaders. As a former Girl Scout leader, I know there's a lot to keep them focused and to the families as well. It's a great tradition, and you've done a lot, both scouts and leaders, to make it happen. So, congratulations.
We're going to continue with our business, and I'm not quite sure you will want to.
Yeah.
Aaron, that long.
Aaron?
Welcome.
Aaron,
Thanks again for coming.
Aaron, why don't you catch all three of them?
Can they take more photos?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to come up here, or?
Yeah, do you want to come up on the podium? Yes, yes.
There you go. Great idea.
Perfect.
Okay.
Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Girl Scout thing that Kurt wore. My sister's. Oh, okay. You're such a kid.
That concludes my comments. At this time, I would like to suspend the regular order of business for the budget amendment hearing.
Mayor, this is the time for the public hearing on municipal budget amendment for 2016. The amendment was advertised as required on May 19, 2016, together with notice of the hearing for this time. Printed copies have been made available to the public. The supply is here for anyone desiring a copy. Anyone who has not secured a copy of budget amendment may do so at this time. They're located on the rack on the door behind the agenda.
Before opening this hearing, I wish to outline the procedure. Each person desiring to be heard will rise and give his or her name and address before speaking. I will recognize one speaker at a time in order of rising as nearly as I can determine. Address all questions to the chair. Where necessary, they will be referred to individual members of the Borough Council, municipal officials, or our advisors. Questions must be confined solely to the municipal budget amendment before us. School or county matters are not proper subjects of this hearing and cannot be discussed or answered here tonight. I now declare open the public hearing on the municipal budget amendment for 2016. Does anybody want to speak to this amendment? Seeing none, I will close the open hearing. I will enter a motion to close the hearing.
Make a motion to close the hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Hughes,
Aye.
Lesovich,
Aye.
Leskowitz,
Aye.
Dawson?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the motion is carried.
Peter, you got something for us?
Mayor, I'd like to just say thank you to all the organizers and people who were involved with the celebration of volunteerism last night. It was an absolutely wonderful event, and certainly a heartfelt thank you to the Rotary Club, to the Kiwanis Club, to Mike Hall, and to Kathleen Gaffney, to Fitzgerald's, and to everyone, and to yourself, Mayor, for a terrific speech, and David for a great limerick, and for all the creative energy that was flowing last night. It was really a nice night. Thank you.
Well deserved, Peter.
Mayor, I also, if you would allow me, we were given an advanced draft of Moody's profile and an appraisal on the borough of Glen Ridge. And if I may, just to read one brief paragraph from it.
Yes.
The credit position for Glen Ridge, in the opinion of Moody's, is strong, and its AA3 rating is equivalent to the median rating of AA3 for other U.S. cities. The credit drivers include a healthy tax base and a wealthy socioeconomic profile, a moderate pension liability with exceptionally light debt burden. It also takes into account a favorable financial position. Mayor, I just thought it was noteworthy to share that information with our residents.
It's a headline, Peter. It's a headline.
We've done, I think, a very good job over the last number of, probably throughout our history, but certainly within the last 10 or 15 years, of managing our budget and living within our means. Okay, Mayor, I have a number of resolutions tonight I'd like to offer. I have resolution number 7416. Be it resolved that the following claims be approved and warrants be drawn for the same. And in the interest of time and a big agenda, I'm just going to go straight to, and be it resolved that the Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer of the Borough of Glen Ridge is hereby authorized to issue the payroll for the employees of the Borough of Glen Ridge for the pay date of May 24, 2016. I move the resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? Mike, could you call the roll, please?
Councilperson Hughes?
Aye.
Lasovich?
Aye.
Lefkowitz?
Aye.
Dawson?
Aye.
Murphy?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
Mayor, I have resolution 70. I thought it was supposed to be 75.
It is. 7516.
I got 74. Okay, bills. Here we go, 7516 to amend the budget. Is that correct, Mike?
That's correct.
Right. Whereas the local municipal budget for the year 2016 was approved on the 20th day of March 2016, and whereas the public hearing on the budget has been held as advertised, and whereas it is desired to amend said approved budget now, therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Borough of Glen Ridge, County of Essex, that the following amendments, additional amendments to this approved budget of 2016 be made. And be it further resolved that 2 certified copies of the resolution be filed in the office of the director, and further resolved that this complete amendment in accordance with the provisions of the statute be published in the Glen Ridge paper issued on May 19th, and that said publication contain notice of the public hearing and ceremony to be held in the municipal building on May 24, 2016, 7:30. Mayor, I move the resolution.
Have a second?
Yeah, I'll second, but can I ask you, Mike, just to explain that further?
Okay, this is the same resolution that was introduced at the previous meeting. We made no changes to it. But there's several items that have come up since the time of the first budget amendment. One was on police overtime, as we discussed, for the longer run and for the AK, so we increased the budget to account for those. Then there was some grants that were appropriated in this budget. So I think really, I think about $13,000, $14,000.
That's right, I'm sorry. I guess.
So it's repetitive because we had it introduced at the last meeting, so it's the exact same resolution, with no changes made since the introduction.
But I do think it's interesting, I mean, and good news, in fact, that the state has allowed us to go forward with our budget this time. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I move the resolution. I think it's been seconded.
Yeah, I second.
Okay, thank you.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hughes?
Aye.
Leftovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
Okay, I have Resolution 76-16 to adopt the budget. Be it resolved by the governing body of the Borough of Glen Ridge, County of Essex, that the budget herein before set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated in the sums therein set forth as appropriations, an authorization in the amount of $10,641,721.83. It is hereby certified. Mayor, I move the resolution.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Leftovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
Mayor, I also have Resolution 77-16. Whereas New Jersey 48-40-87 provides the Director of the Division of Local Government Services may approve the insertion of any special item of revenue in the budget of any county or municipality when such items have been made available by law and the amount thereof was not determined at the time of the adoption of the budget. Could I read this whole thing, Mike?
No, you haven't.
Okay. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk forward 2 certified copies of this resolution to the Director of Local Government Services for approval. The total sum, Mayor, is $14,437.97, and I move the resolution.
I'll second this as well.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion?
Just one quick question. Is this amount in the budget amendment resolution that we just approved?
No, it's not. We received that after we advertised the budget amendment. So there's another process. Once the budget is approved, which we just did in the previous resolution,
Right.
you can do what's called a Chapter 159 amendment. So this amends our budget, so we'll be able to spend the grant money that we received last week.
Good.
Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Leftovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
Mayor, finally, I have Resolution 78-16. Be it resolved that the mayor's reappointment of George Labrizzi to serve as this borough's tax assessor commencing on July 1st, 2016, in accordance with NJSA 4090-146 and 54-13525 and following, and the same is hereby approved and confirmed. Mayor, I move the resolution.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Leftovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
Mayor, that finishes my report.
Thank you, Peter. Paul?
Yes, Mayor, I have 4 resolutions tonight. The first 3 really concern the appointment of 3 additional police officers to join Sergeant Carr in the Glen Ridge Police Department. So I'm pleased to introduce them. Resolution number 79-16 appoints Michael High as a police officer of the Glen Ridge Police Department. Mr. Mayor, I move the resolution.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Dave. Any discussion? Michael, could you please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Leftovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
I also have resolution number 80-16 appointing Anthony Ray as a police officer in our police department. Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution.
Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Dan. I'm sorry. Any discussion? Clerk, please
Anthony's
call the roll.
currently serving as a CSO.
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Leftovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
I also have resolution number 81-16 appointing Thomas Nugent as a officer in the Glen Ridge Police Department.
I'll second that one.
Thank you, Art. Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Leftovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
Okay, that takes care of the people. Now I have a resolution concerning the animals in town.
Where we going?
I have resolution number 82-16, authorizing a shared contract with the Township of Bloomfield for animal services control. Mr. Mayor, I move the resolution. This is one of the many shared services that we have, and very valuable one.
May we have a
I'll
second?
second that.
Thank you, Dave. Any discussion? Will clerk please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Matovich.
Aye.
Leftwich.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, resolution is approved.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Dave?
I have no report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Art?
I have a brief Public Works activity report. Parks crew continues to maintain the parks and athletic fields as per the athletic calendar. Now that the stairway project is complete at Ridgewood Avenue Station, the temporary stone pathway in the Glen has been removed. Public Works has been working with the police department for preparing for the Rhino Romp, a run for school-age children. The race will be held Thursday, May 26th, 2016. Ridgewood Avenue between Bay Avenue and Bloomfield Avenue will be closed from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Preparations for the Memorial Day Parade are underway. The Memorial Day Parade will take place on Monday, May 30th. Participants should gather at the corner of Sherman and Baldwin at 10:30 a.m. The parade will begin at 11 a.m., followed by a ceremony in front of the War Memorial. The day will conclude with a barbecue and fun provided by the Kiwanis Club. They have one other thing that, with the generator for the whole building, the project, we're going to pour the pad out back here where the digging has been done next week, and the new generator will arrive in June. And then subsequent to that, when that's up and hooked up, the generator that's by the police station now will be relocated down to the town yard and serve the same purpose there. So we're moving along with that. That concludes my report.
I have a question for Anne Marie and for Dave. Do you still find the new steps to be slippery? I think they're
Actually,
fine.
no,
Yeah.
not anymore. Within a short time, whether it's from scuffing up or
Yeah.
whatever else, the slipperiness was
Even when
no
it's
longer
wet?
a factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems fine to me the
Yeah.
last
Good.
few times.
Yeah, I think they had some sort of covering on it because there was a sort of a shine to it, which
Yeah.
is no longer there.
Right.
I think it was the first day.
Yeah, so
Now it seems, today it seems fine, and
Yeah,
tonight it
yeah.
seems fine.
It's
too.
no longer an issue.
good. Wish they would all resolve that easily. Dan?
It's my turn, Mr. Mayor. Just an update on Carteret Park. The Public Works Department was their first thing Monday morning, removing the old playground equipment, and they did a nice job pulling it out and hopefully preserving the Jeep, the beloved Jeep that everybody wants to keep. And the equipment has arrived. It's waiting to be installed, and I think the installation date is next week. But the new playground equipment, it sits at Carteret Park, waiting for the installation. So we wanted to make sure that the installer was ready to go before we took the old one apart. And I've got a couple of resolutions, Mr. Mayor. The first one, Resolution 83-16, and it concerns Carteret Park once again, because we're going to be doing some grading work there. And whereas the Borough of Glen Ridge seeks to make grading and drainage improvements at Carteret Park, and Turco Golf Incorporated was the lowest bidder. Now, therefore, it be resolved by Mayor and Council of the Borough of Glen Ridge that Turco Golf Incorporated be awarded the contract for the aforementioned improvements, and that the Mayor and the Borough Clerk are hereby authorized to sign the contract documents necessary to effectuate the award of this contract. I move the resolution.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
And,
You're going to put in the
Dan,
18-hole golf course
how
there?
long will this park be out of commission?
Murphy's Law says don't answer that question.
Sorry, I asked.
But seriously, we're going to do some grading work, removal of the east side backstop, relocation, or just removal of the current little stands for the spectators, and create basically two one smaller soccer field for the kids at the east end of the park, and one larger one, which would run east to west in the other section of the park. And this takes time, and we want to make sure that it's done right. And so the grading work, and then the planting, and we want to make sure that the seeds grow deep and strong. So I'm going to defer to Michael Rohal for the final answer to that question.
Well, not all of the park will be closed, just a section of it, and we're anticipating the contract to be completed by mid-July. And then then it's up to Jim, we're going to be using George Washington Field and Rochester to take the pressure off to allow the sod time to adhere to the surface. So it's going to be a quick project.
Is it sod or seed?
Sod.
Are you going to close the park in this fall, or is it going to be open?
The plan is to be open, but to take all the summer, as many of the summer programs, and take it to one of our, either George Washington or to Rochester.
But we are going to fence it off.
Correct. That the contractor will be responsible for closing the area and providing security.
Is that a thick cut sod, or the
No, we were going through that, and several experts in the field were telling us there's a lot of the thick cut that you're paying for is really thin cut.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's also about long-term, we believe that thick cut doesn't really blend in as well as the thin cut. So we were told to go with the thin cut back and talk to our consultants.
Right, and then the existing irrigation system is going to be maintained?
On that, they'll be ripping out a good portion, it's zones. So several zones, of course, will be taken out in the first part of the project and then replaced, but they'll go back. But there's 3 or 4 zones in the process of the project.
Yeah, I remind you that we did close off the field once before, and people chose to use it like a dog run sometimes.
Right, so we're going to fence it off, and I think what we'll have to do is
Turn the
Took care of that with that animal control,
We may have another resolution.
Turn the sprinklers on.
We're going to have, there'll be motion detector sprinklers. Something.
Yeah, so we'll also ask the police, if they do see anybody on the field, out of work times, that they should.
And we're going to have the right percolation, and, it's all going to,
Well, what they're doing, they're taking out 18 inches of soil,
yeah.
and then replace it with an engineered soil that has high permeability, and then also put drains throughout the system. So it's basically a rebuild of the eastern portion of the field.
I think it's a great idea, and it's really going to improve the ability to use that park. We can move the field, the soccer field too, right?
Correct.
Yeah, make it kind of a variable field rather than a static field.
Where does it drain?
Rural areas won't just get burnt out, right?
There's storm sewer, it drains to a storm sewer down on Midland.
You might, when the lesson learned on Harrell with the drain, is it a similar kind of stuff?
No, it's a totally different kind of system, and the problem on Harrell too was part of the specification by the manufacturer that's now corrected. Basically, it's a tile drain, and the old specification said you could use the tile drain to connect to the interceptor. It really didn't work out. It should have been hard piping. So that was the lesson learned at Harrell, and we actually spoke to the manufacturer that if you go more than a foot or two, you shouldn't use the sock to connect into the interceptor, but actually have hard piping. However, this won't even be that. This is going to be the stone gravel system. So
Which worked really well on the western portion of the field.
So it's an entirely different system, and this system type of system goes back 30, 40 years. At Harrell, we were using a system that was out just a few years.
Is it the same slope? Is it still like a 1% drain?
It's still going to have a little more slope. That's why we're taking out the back stuff, but not appreciable. What's going to help is in the diamond area, taking out the diamond. That was flat, we'll be able to get some slope on it.
That's almost
It's not clay, too.
clay.
Yeah.
So they're going to remove that.
But he raises a good issue, because, but part of the problem at Harrell was the installation.
Yeah.
And it was the contractor, the drains weren't fully connected, some of them were filled, so the inspection process along the way this work is being done.
Yeah, this is not going to be the slit drain. This is going to be stone trenches.
But nonetheless.
And your connection's going to be right into the pipe.
But nonetheless, we gotta make sure we have the right inspections.
Correct, you have the subgrade.
Who's doing the inspections?
Harrell Engineering.
Harrell Engineering, and are they gonna have somebody on site?
They'll have it, what they do is, they'll have it when they're installing, when they're stripping, when they're installing the drains. Then there's also an as-built we do for the subgrade, which is probably one of the most important items to make sure you're on grade. And facade.
Final question, is it bonded?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a performance bond, there's material bond, there's also wage bonds, so it's totally bonded. Anything that, this is a $300,000 contract, so everything will have performance bonds, and then there's a maintenance bond afterwards.
A maintenance bond?
Correct.
We're not using the same guy we did for Harrell, right?
So I did that now. The Turco is supposed to be a good company. They were very competitive. They were just actually right on the engineer's estimate.
So,
The contractor that we had, Harrell, initially, he had good.
Yeah, it was the foreman.
We've used him before.
Yeah.
No, I'll go back. It was, I think, the specification for the slit train, when it allowed the contractor to use just the sock instead of hard piping,
Yeah.
that's where the failure occurred. When they were backfilling, it pulled the sock drain right off the interceptor. So I think the specification has changed. And I think another thing, just on the inspection, we did George Washington Field, I think it came out really well.
Yeah, it has, it's come out really well.
So
Yeah.
we were involved with that, and actually, we valued the engineering, it brought down $50,000-$60,000 in cost on the project.
so Mr. Mayor, I offer resolution number 83-16.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thanks, Peter. Any further discussion? Will clerk please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Lisovich.
Aye.
Leftwich.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, resolution approved.
Looking forward to this. Okay, resolution 84-16, be it resolved that in accordance with NJSA 33-74.1, the Mayor and Borough Council approves the division of alcoholic beverage controls application submitted by Mayfield Tavern Partners LLC for a catering permit for the Lager Run to be held on Sunday, June 26, 2016 at Harrell Field, Glen, New Jersey. Mr. Mayor, I offer resolution number 84-16.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion?
I
Clerk,
was going to
please.
say I'll drink to that, but
You probably will.
I'll just second the motion.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Lisovich.
Aye.
Leftwich.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, resolution is
And
approved.
I thank you for that, and I invite you all to the 10th running of the Fitzgerald's 1928 Lager Run on June 26th.
It's a great event. It benefits the community fund. It's their primary fundraiser. And thanks to Dan and Mr. Rohal and our town workers and everyone who supports that run, it's grown from, I think the first running had about 300 runners up to now. I think last year,
We've ordered 1,200 T-shirts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see here it goes.
It's amazing.
It's been 10 years.
We don't want any
That's
T-shirts
great.
left over either. And
Great
I
job.
thank the town for their support of this race.
And we thank you for making it possible.
You're sweet, thank you.
Well said.
And that's all I have tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anne Marie?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I have a few items. I think before I get to the resolution, I just would like to mention that tomorrow night, the planning board will be holding a special meeting here at 7:30 to review the latest version of the Mountainside office building redevelopment plan. This version will include comments from the last joint meeting of the Montclair and Glen Ridge Planning Boards. It will be an opportunity for the Glen Ridge Planning Board to discuss the comments that were made at that meeting, the updated plan that staff's put together, any cleanup comments. I believe Jessica Georgiani will be there. She's from H2M. I know that Michael Rojo, Mike Sickelli, members of the HPC, and Jessica have worked incredibly hard to, in a short amount of time, over the last couple of months, we've had a couple of late nights, and they've worked really diligently to put the plan in shape that I think should be our final review. So, and I'd like to express my thanks for all their efforts. And that's tomorrow night at 7:30.
Here.
Here, yes, it's the special meeting of the Glen Ridge Planning Board.
Is that the only issue that will be addressed tomorrow night?
Yes, we had a regular meeting last Wednesday night to deal with regular business.
Right,
So
okay.
this is just an effort to focus attention just on going through the plan. And hopefully at the conclusion of that meeting, the planning board will be able to recommend to council. I'm not sure if there'll be another review. I know Montclair met yesterday.
There's one issue that they're referring to us, that they were to do with our decision
Okay.
order.
So stay tuned.
Stay
June
tuned.
13th. Next, I would like to offer resolution number 8516. This resolution is offered in connection with our current affordable housing planning, the planning that's also being done by H2M. You might recall back in February, we retained H2M to prepare an affordable housing needs report, as well as an updated housing element and fair share plan report. This involves the gathering of data specific to our town in terms of housing stock, occupancy, demographics. This report we determined at that time and still affirm that it is necessary. It's important for us, it's desirable for us to determine what our fair share housing requirements are under the Act, and it's important to us as a borough. In addition, will assist us in the current builder remedy lawsuit. We had anticipated the need to retain eConsult, which is the purpose of the resolution is to retain eConsult. In order to get access to the data that they've collected. All of our proposed planners that gave us proposals back in February indicated the desirability for us to retain eConsult. They have collected data from over 230 municipalities across the state. I believe several of the other municipalities that are involved in the Essex County lawsuit have retained them. They've been retained all across the state to provide data. So I don't know if John had anything else to add with respect to this resolution, but I offer the resolution. The cost of signing with them is $4,000, and it's our recommendation. I believe that we need to retain their services in order to assist our planner, H2M, as well as to assist in the current litigation.
I think that says it all.
Anything else? Okay, so I offer resolution number 8516, be it resolved by the Borough Council as follows. We recommend that the conditions of the amendment to the Municipal Shared Services Defense Agreement be approved, ratified, and confirmed, and the resolution shall take effect immediately. I don't know, do I need to read more of this?
I'll second. Thank you, Paul. Any further discussion? Then will clerk please call the roll.
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Pasovic.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
Excuse me, just 1 second, Councilperson Morrow. Is the issue that's coming back that Montclair asked us to look at about the MOB, something to do with the making the parking area designated as only parking?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's Block B1 on the plan.
Right.
Yes.
And currently, our zoning has medical office building as a permitted use. But someone looking at the plan with the new location of medical office building, there's, I believe, the planning board's going to recommend that for now it's just parking and parking structures. And if anything happens in the future.
What part of that area, though, is in Glen Ridge?
It's a first.
Just a very small sliver?
There's a sliver of it,
Yeah, okay.
but
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
But-
Right, okay.
But the plans, if anything would occur there, the plans can be amended in a future date.
That's fine, thank you. I'm sorry to...
yes, no worries. All right, next I have ordinance number 1642. This is being introduced for a first reading. This ordinance would amend our current zoning to create 3 distinct R1 zones differentiated by requirements as to the size of the lot width. This first reading, this ordinance comes about following public comment about a year ago and a series of meetings and discussions by the planning board that was held over a period of several months in the past year. The planning board has recommended these changes to the council for public hearing and adoption. Just briefly, by way of background, the new zoning ordinance for R1 changes the requirements as to lot width only. Setbacks and other requirements will remain the same. And frankly, the change is intended to reflect what is currently in place for our streetscape and lot sizes in the R1 zone. At present, the lot width requirement in R1 is 85 feet, but there are certain lots on Ridgewood and some of the surrounding streets in the center of town that are at present 100 feet, and some in the south end that are a bit larger, they're 125 feet. It's a series of lots on Ridgewood south of Linden. Some lots in the R1 zone will remain at 85 feet. And I guess at the next meeting, when we went through this discussion, which went on over a period, as I mentioned, of several months, Mike Sicali had prepared a very detailed map of the R1 zone, which I guess we'll have at the next meeting. It's very detailed. It shows every single lot, what the current size is, color-coded so that you can see what's 85, what's, I guess I would say, a naturally occurring streetscape of 100 feet, and then the series of, I think it's 5 lots in the south end that are about 125 feet. And the planning board recommended that we change the zoning to make it clear and reflect what our actual widths are. And I guess, will that map be available?
Online, yes, correct.
Online, and there'll be copies of the ordinance, is mailed to everybody in the R1 zone, is that?
R1 is within 200 feet.
Okay,
It's gonna be an
so
extensive
basically,
mailing.
the town will be mailed to.
Is that certified?
Yes. At least return receipt, yeah.
I think the Historic Preservation Commission thanks you for this hard work and preserving the streetscape.
I think everyone felt strongly when they looked at the map to see what it is that we're doing. We're essentially preserving what's there.
Good.
Do we have a second for this?
Well, I'll second that.
Thank you. We've had some discussion, but is there any further discussion on, before we take a vote on?
This is tangential, but I just wanted to ask, is there anything in our zoning right now that in any way relates to Airbnb or similar?
No, there is not. We have a subcommittee that's looking at certain uses in different zones, and that's one we should add to the list, Council.
Seeing no further discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Palovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. The resolution is approved. I'm sorry, the ordinance is passed on first reading.
Right, I refer ordinance number 1642 to the municipal clerk for the purposes of statutory publication and posting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I have nothing to.
Okay, any comments for the administrator?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Our first road project incorporates Douglas, Marston Place, Washington, north of Ridgewood Avenue, and also Wildwood should start in the next month. Most of the work will be paving. There is some concrete work, so these matters will go pretty quickly. On the second paving project that we're scheduling for this year, it includes Edgewood Road, and we're going to have a meeting with the residents. In order to install curbing on Edgewood Road and save the plane trees, we may have to change the traffic patterns. So we want to get their insight on what they believe will work in the neighborhood, and then we'll come back to the council and also be working with public safety on that matter. And finally, we met with the New Jersey Department of Transportation, the Bloomfield Avenue Bridge over the Montclair line. Our last meeting was 10 years ago, so we reorganized in the same basis. The planning project to start possibly in January, be 9 months to a year duration because of the catenaries to restrict it to times to be able to work. Also, during the course of the project, Bloomfield Avenue will be reduced to 2 lanes.
Wow. That'll be a good experiment to see if we should reduce Bloomfield Avenue.
Fewer road diet, that's exactly. And then prior to that, so that'll be 9 to 12 consecutive months of the lane closures. But prior to that, PSE&G needs to relocate the line from the south side of Bloomfield Avenue to the north to accommodate the work. So sometime before January, PSE&G, that's where we're going to get the experiment. PSE&G is going to have two-lane road closures in order to relocate their utilities. So this project.
What else is in the road there?
No, that's the PSE&G's the big. They had the PSE&G's is probably.
There's gas lines too, right?
There's
a gas line and electric both,
Yeah,
right?
So the state runs the repair on the bridge?
Pardon me, it hasn't gone out for bid. It'll be a state project, even though it's the New Jersey Transit Bridge. It comes under the auspices of New Jersey Department of Transportation.
Is it gonna wind up sort of the same size, or?
It's be the same size. It's for structural improvements. It's, I think there was a report, I think even the Glen voice reported on it, of bridges that structurally were scheduled to be updated. And this is on the list.
Is the traffic pattern going to be as it was 10 years ago, where if somebody's coming east on Bloomfield Avenue, wants going to Smashburger, they got to come all the way down here, turn around, and go back up?
Smash, that's the whole thing too. On the main protection of transportation plan, there's going to be restricted turning movements coming out of Glen Square. So the road closure stops basically right at the area of the second entrance. So depending on your final plan, definitely that area is going to be impacted, and there's going to be restricted turning motions.
You'll have to park at the Hillside Avenue lot and take the train one stop.
You may need to, and then we're not sure, then to get more work time on weekends. I guess we're going to try to suggest run diesel trains from Bay Street Station, because at one time they were talking about stopping at the Glenridge Station, but it appears that they're going to be going to the Bay Street Station and keep the standard weekend service that we now have. We'll keep you updated, and we requested New Jersey Department of Transportation to give us updates as soon as possible so that we could broadcast them and get the word out to our residents.
Is it true the Palace Car Wash is going to be no more?
No, that is not true. From what I understand, the Palace Car Wash will be out of operation for 1 year, 9 months to 1 year.
Are they going to locate traffic through the Palace Car?
No,
Get your car washed.
I think they're going back to the plan where this goes maybe 10 years ago. We were talking about maybe if they would raise it, put a temporary bridge in and maintain the lane. So that's not going to occur. It's going to be just closed during the construction period.
It boggles my mind. Everyone talks about how important that artery is, Bloomfield Avenue heading west, and everything is centered around the traffic signals and keeping traffic flowing, and then the plan that you're talking about right now just seems like
we were hoping for a temporary bridge. This is better than the first plan, which was to use Glenridge Avenue and Woodland as an arterial route.
No.
So
they're still going to get a lot of extra traffic.
That was the plan that both Montclair and us objected to vehemently, is trying to do a detour. So we basically told there was no detour onto the local street, that it had to be a Bloomfield Avenue. And one of our big concern, of course, is ambulances from the west, because that's a major ambulance route. And so during peak period, how's that going to work? So we're going to be reaching out also to the hospitals to make them aware of the plans and see what contingencies they have to develop.
Is that bridge obsolete? Is it falling apart?
It's structural rating. It's I forgot the number, but it's a structural rating that repairs are required. So, I mean, I know 10 years ago it was structurally deficient, so it hasn't improved in the last decade.
No, they don't get better.
Ours doesn't look very good either. That's all right.
And that concludes my report.
John?
Mayor, I have just a very brief supplement to the report that Councilperson Morrow gave. This really deals with the builder's remedy lawsuit that she had mentioned. As we had reported before, our builder's remedy lawsuit has been consolidated with a greater lawsuit that involves a number of Essex County municipalities. And as was reported in Councilperson Morrow's report, the purpose of that lawsuit is to fix our COA number. And the formula that was being used was to look at what our number was for round one, which was 1999, and then we had this gap period that a COA number was going to have to be given to us, and then there was a third component, which we are present with prospective need. and it's created a lot of confusion throughout the state, and there's been some judicial rulings on this that have added more confusion to it. And there's pending, it was just introduced yesterday, this legislation that was proposed by the New Jersey Senate, which would eliminate from consideration assigning any COA number of units for the so-called gap period, which is the period from 1999 to the present time when you look at the number. That, if it is passed, will, I think, greatly simplify the determination of what the COA number will be for all municipalities. That, of course, would include Glen Ridge. So it's something we have to keep an eye on, and it might be something for the mayor and council to consider favorably recommending the passage of this to our legislators. That concludes my report.
Thanks, John. Public safety?
Good evening, Sergeant Carr, on behalf of Chief Byron Lagatuda. The Chief is currently at the graduation for our two newest recruits, Nugent and Hyde. The only two messages I had to pass on, currently the police department is enforcing the National Highway Traffic Safety Association's Click It or Ticket campaign that began May 16th. It's currently going through June 5th. The police department just wants to remind the motoring public and residents of the law to have your seatbelts fastened at all times, as well as all the passengers in your motor vehicle. Tomorrow is Coffee with a Cop. It goes from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. It's at the Glen Ridge train station. The Detective Bureau will be doing bicycle registrations, and there will be giveaways. That's all I have, Mayor.
It's 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Great.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Do we need to ask to get a resolution put together against that thing that John talked about, that favor, passage of that, or?
So in favor, we'll have that.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
About the resolution.
We'll have that at the next council meeting.
Okay.
Michael, is there any new and unfinished business?
No, Mr. Mayor.
So now we're back to our second opportunity for the comments from the public. Does anybody want to be heard? Seeing no one, we'll close that off. Art, you got a motion for us?
I'd like to move that the meeting be adjourned.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.